Stugotz, what are we going to do about the fact that your weekend observations, again, are on a Wednesday? We have not gotten to them the last couple of days, and very often we are doing your weekend observations closer to the next weekend than to the one we previously had. Are your weekend observations ready?
They've been ready, yeah. They're ready to go today on a Wednesday. Hump day, Dano.
Okay, so can we, like, very early in the show, can we do your weekend observations?
Sure.
Because I don't know why it is that this keeps happening where your weekend observations are not on Monday.
I think I have a solution for this problem for you guys. So we're calling it weekend observations, and if you say it quick enough, you can say week in observations. And then these are Stugotz's week in observations because they're in the week, and then they're right on time.
Saved.
Weekend observations.
Or just
W-E-A-K.
Or just week, or just week observations or midweek observations.
Weekends is good, too.
Weekend observations, okay. How do we change the imaging? We need to change the imaging, bring my father in and change everything so he says weekend instead of weekend. Jess, you haven't seen this side of my father. Billy and Chris, when my father was, I don't think Tony's seen this side of my father either. When my father was on Highly Questionable, he morphed in front of everyone's eyes into a total diva that didn't want to be corrected on, Gonzalo, we need you to say it weekend, not weekend. And he didn't understand, and he'd just get mad at everybody.
I don't want to see that side of Poppy. I just want to see the Columbo-loving, happy, sweet man that I know.
Yeah. The Poppy that I know from when I started was if there wasn't pizza on Fridays, he was very upset.
Well, this is part of it.
Is that the same timeline?
Yes,
okay.
Well, then get him pizza. I mean, geez.
And then he had like this weird like Blaze pizza phase.
He did, yeah.
It wasn't a weird phase. My father was crushing LeBron James on air for 7 years, and then LeBron sent him like 30 Blaze pizzas, and my father was just purchased at that point. He stopped criticizing him because of how delightful the pizza was.
Poppy was great with brand loyalty. Like whatever sponsor there was for HQ, like that's what he was going to use for whatever that product was.
Yeah, but his takes meant nothing. Did you hear what Dan just said? He was bought with pizza.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Mirror.
Who among us?
I mean, yes, that's right. Stugotz, like, Stugotz, you
just
can't,
pointing it out.
You can't rip my father too much for that. But Billy, did you ever see Poppy's total diva side? Like, did you see how he became a television star right in front of you?
Yes, I've gone through it. I ran lines with him.
Diva's not fair. I mean, he's just a particular man. And he, thought that he knew what was best in certain situations. And then did we have to, in the post-production process, have to combine words and take an E sound from this word and put it in an S sound here to make the word make sense? Yeah, maybe we had to do that from time to time, but who cares?
It's Poppy.
How it works, yeah.
What is the most pissed any of you saw him?
I think throwing papers up in the air, like, I got to do this again, buddy.
Yeah.
He just wanted to putter around the house. He was mad at me at the end for making him work.
I mean, but who amongst us doesn't want to reach that point, right?
I want to putter too.
God, I wish I could retire now.
Already there?
All of you want to just putter around the house?
I love a good putter. Yeah.
This
get out once in a while.
This is not the thing
Occasionally
to be
take out the driver.
saying to somebody who's trying to run a company who needs you guys to not have that general attitude.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I need some help from the group here because I do not know if something that someone has written me is true, and my knowledge of the present Marlins is so bad that I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. But someone has written in that a Marlin named Christian Pache made his major league debut by striking out on a pitch clock violation.
Oh, wow.
Tell me that's true, please. Tell me that somebody's first major league at bat was ended because the person couldn't adhere to time restrictions.
It is true. It is absolutely true.
That's the first time that's happened, right? Like that has not happened to a major league player before, where your first at bat, instead of an emotional celebratory time, is instead an epic failure where you can't keep track of time because you're so nervous.
It's a tricky situation. You got to be set with 8 seconds left. Why do we still have 8 seconds left if I'd be done with 8 seconds left? It could happen to anyone. I mean, it's only happened to one person, but it could happen to anyone.
But how long has the pitch clock been? How long has that rule been in?
Like 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
You're
okay.
just learning of this?
No. I'm saying, Dan's saying it's never happened to anyone before, but it's only been implemented for 2 years. That's all.
People have struck out with pitch clock violations before. I don't think anyone in their debut has done that.
Okay.
Also, I've learned Larry Brown Sports is still a thing because they wrote an article about this.
Wow.
So, good day for us.
Congratulations.
It was on a sack bunt attempt, so maybe he was nervous about having to lay down the sack bunt. I mean, the thing with bunts, like, you got to put your hands in a very specific place. You don't want to get your fingers hurt.
It was his Marlins debut, right? Not his MLB debut.
I don't know anything about this human being. I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
I believe it was just his Marlins debut.
Okay.
So,
If it's his
Makes it
major
worse.
league debut and they say, hey, go up and lay down a sack bunt, I'm saying no. Like, hey, don't put me up there to lay down a sack bunt. It's my first bat in the majors. I want to hit a dong. I
think he's played like a couple hundred games in the majors.
All right, so he was traded from the Phillies to the Orioles last week, and then the Orioles designated him for assignment after one at-bat, it looks like, and then the Marlins claimed him off waivers. So it seems like in the history of baseball, no one has struck out with a pitch clock violation in their first at-bat.
Excellent.
Other than that, though.
Congratulations to the Marlins, setting records all over the place.
Hey, they're not that bad. They could be worse. Marlins 2024. Quote, they could be worse.
Could be the White Sox.
Well, I sent a note last night. Just last night, I sent a note. Hey, the rest of this season, I want to be the international leader in covering whether or not the White Sox are the worst team ever. Like, I want to see if they can break what I thought was an unbreakable record in our most historic sport, whether they could fail to win 40 games in a season.
They're getting hot. I mean,
They won last night against Oakland. They did. To end their
What?
21 game losing streak.
Oh, man. I feel like this is a glass houses situation, though. Like, we can't be the people to talk about if they're the worst team ever, because that'll just piss off all the fans that are then like, well, you're Marlins fans.
Oh,
like,
but Jessica, nobody's ever been this bad. Like, we really are headed toward a special place with these White Sox where they've been playing, this goes back to whatever, the St. Louis spider webs or whatever of the 1800s. Like, nobody has ever been this bad.
that wasn't a team name.
No, but something like that. You know what I'm talking about. They're the crazy old-timey names where all the players were named Heine. And it was the late 1800s. And, the pitchers would have 60 complete games in a season.
I'm very late to the White Sox party, but I saw yesterday Ozzie Guillen, and I saw that it was the clip was from like 2020, where he was just talking about how much he hated Nick Swisher. Like on the post-game show, pre-game show, whatever. I don't think the White Sox know what they have in Ozzie Guillen doing pre- and post-game work. Like, this seems incredible because most teams, if they're not having the best season, don't have their analysts just ripping the team and ripping former players, where he flat out just said, I hated Nick Swisher. They're like, well, and he's like, I didn't talk to him, I just hated him. And they're like, well, he was only on the team for one season. He's like, one season too long. Hated Nick Swisher.
There are two things that I would say about Ozzie Guillen, just having seen the entirety of his playing career and his managing career. And the second most interesting thing I would say is I can't believe he's a champion. The first is I can't believe he was a manager. The idea that they're putting him on the broadcast, given that he's always been that, he's always talked that way. In terms of Marlins debuts, Christian Pache's is only better than Ozzie Guillen's, which included becoming the Marlins manager and immediately praising Fidel Castro.
In Little Havana.
That's right.
Was that a press conference thing? Was it a...
No, it was a Time Magazine interview.
Oh, gee.
It was a Time Magazine interview introducing him to the local fan base. Here's our shiny new managerial hire, a champion, Ozzie Guillen. What's the one thing you can't say? I kind of liked some of the things that Fidel Castro did.
Well, no, I think, for some context, I think what he said is he respected the fact that Castro hadn't been assassinated after being a dictator for 60 years.
Keeping power.
Yeah, he's like, I respect the fact that he's still alive. And it's like, oh,
I have
Ozzie, read
So
the
not
room.
praise,
right
a
here.
respect thing.
Still, read the room.
I have this from his Wikipedia page. I love Fidel Castro. I respect Fidel Castro. You know why? A lot of people have wanted to kill Fidel Castro for the last 53 years, but that mofo is still here.
Yeah, the context got lost. No one heard anything after I love Fidel Castro.
You can't start with that.
Bad opening line.
I respect Fidel Castro as a bad second line.
No one heard it.
Yeah, well, it's not just that no one heard it. He was speaking to a bunch of people who are in their second language understand I love Fidel Castro and nothing else that he said. So that's all they got, and that's how he opened his career.
St. Louis's original baseball team was called the Brown Stockings.
Wow.
Just letting you know.
There
know,
were
it was-
spiders.
It was
Greg
the
Cody's
Cleveland
socks.
Spiders, and I made it the Spider Webs.
Spider Whip?
I was doing something.
Spidey webs, actually. is what
The
you said.
Spidey Webs is what I made them.
Leaving a web.
Go ahead and find me any information you want on late 1800 team names that you find funny, player names, player stats, and the White Sox are worse than any of them. Because we're really headed toward a historic place, and I'd like our show to celebrate this incompetence in a way that is worthy. I don't want to celebrate the good teams. I want to celebrate one that is – there's only one team in baseball that's looking to do something that's never been done before. And with not being able to win 40 games in a major league season, Stugotz, I'm not kidding you when I tell you I do believe a AAA team can win 40 Major League Baseball games. A team that is legitimately not a major league team, just a AAA team. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can a AAA baseball team win 40 major league games?
The Orioles had like a crazy, I think, AAA or AA team to start the season, and they were all hit. Their OPS was like all like 1,200. And
Yeah,
they're all hitting like
they're all in
400.
the big leagues
and they called
now.
all of them up. Yeah, yeah. They were all major leaguers just playing in AAA.
That's why I keep telling Stugotz that team's going to be good for 10 years.
Stugotz, important question.
Yes.
Did the White Sox make it into weekend observations, and is it now rendered useless because they've won a game?
Perhaps. Yes, actually. I just checked them out.
Do you not
Page
remember
2,
your
yeah.
White Sox observations? Or
I
is
mean,
just Taylor
you know,
writing all of them?
I
It's
did them on
Wednesday,
Saturday.
Dan.
I mean, Taylor doesn't write all of them. I mean, I wish he would write all of them. He doesn't write all of them. He writes some of them. Yes.
There's the Gastonia Honey Hunters.
There's a National League team called the Chicago Orphans.
Oh.
Jessica is into the most recent Hard Knocks that came on because it's about their Bears. And I learned that, most of our show is still behind on the Giants, and Billy Gill's still got 2 Dolphin Hard
Yeah,
Knock
don't tell me how that one
episodes
ends.
to get to.
What?
I'm waiting to see how last season ended.
Really?
Still. Yeah.
Are you ready to do weekend observations, Stugotz? Weekend observations.
I am ready, Dano.
All right. Are you ready, Billy Gill? Very late, way too late.
White Sox.
Here are the weekend observations. That is good. That is the way to do it. If we're going to not do it on Monday, they should be called the weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, it had been over 20 years since an American could claim this title, when in 2004, Justin Gatlin sprinted his way to gold. Then came Usain Bolt's reign for 3 straight Olympic cycles. In 2020, an Italian even claimed it for the first time ever. But this year, in Paris after a photo finish. It was Noah Lyles standing atop the podium. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, America's claim for the fastest man in the world is back. It's been a while, man.
Yeah.
2004. Feels good, right?
Usain Bolt kind of hogged everything for a while. Yes, we had forgotten.
That run is over.
It is.
And the Italian guy came in, and now we're back.
Yes, we are back.
Yeah.
And he's promising gold in the 200 as well.
Lyles won it by 1/200th of a second. Track and field, game of inches. U.S. men's soccer, the gift that keeps on giving and losing. John Mayer playing the sphere with a broken index finger. Hockey player. Did you see that?
I did not.
His index finger. The most important finger for a guitarist. How about that?
Put it on the poll.
Still played.
At Le Batard Show. Is index finger the most important finger for a guitarist? And also, Stugotz, I would just recommend to everybody in our audience, go listen to John Mayer with Conan O'Brien. It was super interesting.
The Dead and Company, what are they called now? Dead and Company?
Dead and Company,
That
yeah.
seems like everybody's just on drugs in the audience, right, for the most part?
Confirmed, yeah.
All right, so that seems like the easiest one to fake.
What are
Perhaps.
you saying?
If anyone is not actually playing, it seems like that's the prime spot to do that.
Are you saying that John Mayer wasn't playing the guitar?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, if there was ever an opportunity to get one by a crowd, that seems like the crowd to get
That's
one
the
by.
crowd to get one by. You're right.
Just lay down tracks.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, Juju. Easier crowd to fool that you're playing fake music. Grateful Dead crowd or what is the electronic music? Is it called EDM?
Yes.
Yes.
Which one? Which one is it? Is it Grateful Dead or is it the stuff that Mike Ryan's listening to all the time?
Well, they just push play and then they just like, and then they jump on, and then they take off their crazy heads. Everybody has a crazy head. Guess they're all ugly or something. I don't know.
Drugs?
A lot of drugs.
Yeah. America leads the total medal count by over 25. You know what everyone else is doing, Dano?
Losing?
Playing for second place. By the way, America, how about you weave in a few more golds? I don't like the medal count. I don't care about the silvers. I don't care about the bronzes. Who is leading in gold medals? That's all I care about. It's not us. I don't think it's us.
Sunday, though.
Well, yeah, no,
I believe it is us now.
This is Sunday.
When I wrote that over the weekend, they were not leading in gold medals.
Yeah. Weekend observations.
Skip Bayless retired. Fox Sports wants Nick Wright to be the face of the network. The rare face of the network that has a face for radio. Love you, Nick. What happened? John Rahm was up 4 shots with 8 holes to go and didn't even medal. Total collapse. All-time choke job. Hasn't been the same since he joined Liv. I told you that, Dan. I told you a while ago that John Rahm is struggling with his decision to sign up with Liv. He cannot look anyone in the eye. I'm serious. He can't. He hasn't been the same golfer.
You think it's because of that?
Yes. I think Liv is for guys who don't care that much about golf, only care about the majors, like Brooks Koepka. That's fine. And for guys who are well past their prime. They're not for a guy who won the Masters and the U.S. Open. I mean, they're not.
He told you this a long time ago.
I did. Thank you.
By the way, the United States lead by 2 in gold medals over China.
All right. I stand corrected.
Jessica, when you say he told you this a long time ago, no one was out in front on Elon Musk more than Stugotz. Stugotz was the first person who arrived with public criticism of Elon Musk as a phony.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, Stu.
You're welcome.
I was just trying to imitate his slur.
You call everyone a fraud, though. Like, eventually you'll be right.
Oh.
Scotty Scheffler didn't win. John Rahm lost. Scotty Scheffler, the first golfer ever to win a gold medal, a green jacket, and an orange jumpsuit in the same year. It's never been done before. Imagine going from unlawful imprisonment to winning gold for your country. Scotty Scheffler, the American dream. They should put him on a Wheaties box. Jeff Darlington, what could have been. Novak Djokovic has now won everything there is to win in tennis. The D in Djokovic stands for debate over.
You just brought something up here does Wheaties still do that? Like, is Wheaties going to take an Olympian, one American Olympian, and put them on the box? Is that something that they still do?
It should be Scotty in the jumpsuit. I mean,
can you guys find out for me?
I haven't seen a Wheatie box in years.
I think they went to just online now.
oh boy. Are you asking the last time Wheaties put an athlete on a box?
I'm asking if it's you just mentioned something, and I'm wondering if your weekend observation is not only dated from this weekend, but is 10 years dated because Wheaties no longer does that.
I've got a very, very exciting update for the Wheaties box. I went onto Amazon. The most current Wheaties box you could buy has J.J. Watt on it.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's get it for
Little
Stugotz.
J.J. T.J. Watt double, but they're
Why?
just both running.
But why?
I don't know.
I'm on the Wheaties website. They have Billie Jean King with a autograph on it right now. It's on the website currently.
From like 1970?
No.
That's some old cereal. That cereal's going to poison you if it's 50 years old.
You said they went online. I mean,
Find out for me if Wheaties is going to put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Wheaties going to put an Olympic athlete on the box?
I found an article, but it's behind a paywall.
Uh-oh.
it should be Scheffler in the orange jumpsuit, though, right?
It's a good idea.
I mean, the colors don't match up because the Wheaties box is orange. You have an orange jumpsuit. It might be tough to decipher Scheffler in the box. You know what I'm saying? Where does Scheffler stop and the box start? I mean,
I feel like you're ripe for kind of like making fun of it, right? Where you just kind of like draw his face and then you drew like a collar and then it's like implied like this is you're like, oh, they just drew his head. It's like, no, that's the jumpsuit. Wheaties is tricking you.
Trinity Rodman. Holy shit. Updated list of top 5 most important goals in U.S. soccer history. Number 5, the shot heard around the world.
Which one was that?
You're not familiar with that shot?
Is that Landon Donovan?
No, it's the shot that got the U.S. into their first World Cup. I mean, geez, know your soccer, man.
What
You meant
year?
Lexington and Concord.
Jeez.
What year was it?
I don't know.
Okay, you're criticizing me for not knowing. Can
Taking
you give
a
us
quiz? I
Can you
mean-
give us any more information on your number
There was
5?
a goal, Dan, and I don't know who scored it. I don't know what year he scored the goal, but it was the goal called the shot heard around the world because it got the U.S. to their first World Cup. That goal.
This is one of the ones you wrote, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4.
Landon Donovan. 2011 World Cup, unfortunately. 2010, excuse me. Number 3, Christian Pulisic's penis. Header. Number 2, Rodman. Number 1, Brandy Chastain. Took her shirt off. Here come the White Sox.
Wait a minute. When you wrote this from the
It
weekend,
was Marlins. They had won 2 straight.
I was doing some math, and the White Sox are 12 games behind the other worst team in the MLB, the Miami Marlins.
But the worst team ever is the 1962 Mets. Is that the worst team ever? What the White Sox are chasing is 42 wins. I think is the lowest number in the history of the sport.
Death, taxes, and Mike Trout out for the season. Trouty. Team USA's 3-on-3 men's team won't medal and was eliminated after losing 21-6 to the Netherlands. What an embarrassment. The Dutch. We can't lose to the Dutch in basketball. In any form, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, you can't lose to the Dutch.
They lost 21-6.
I know. Can't do it. Embarrassment. I have a confession. I don't know when any Olympic events are on. Sorry about that. And where to find them. Is there a calendar? I've been too afraid to ask.
It's called the internet.
You don't know how to.
I feel like I'm watching things live. I'm not watching them live. They've already been played out. I watched the 200-meter hurdles last night. My daughter told me who won before the race started. It's a disaster.
Oh my God, you're my grandfather. I've told you the story of tricking my 80-year-old grandfather with a World Series Classic game by telling him before the pitch was thrown, I think Jim Leyritz is going to hit a home run here. You're my grandfather.
I know. You're not helping.
I mean, that's crazy, Stugotz. Everybody's watching the Olympics. All you have to do is...
Confession. I mean, it wasn't
Okay,
hard.
okay.
I feel better now.
I think Peacock's been great for the Olympics. Like,
Awesome.
so NBC
Yeah,
has the rights to the Olympics. Peacock's their streaming partner, but you can watch any event that you want at any point in time on Peacock. Like, it's just there. You just have to search for it. You can watch it. So if you miss an event, you can watch it in its entirety.
I got it.
Just by clicking the thing.
Have you guys heard a single complaint about the Peacock coverage? Anything? Like, usually nothing
This
gets...
is not on Peacock, by the way. It's on me.
No,
I'm
I
getting
know,
old.
but I'm just saying...
And my daughter.
The way that things are consumed in this country, nothing gets universal applause. Everything comes with criticism. What's the biggest criticism you've heard of the Olympic coverage?
Too much Chad Collinsworth for me. Was it Jack?
Chaz Collinsworth?
I think I called him Chad.
That should be his name. I would imagine that Chris Collinsworth would name
CC.
his son Chaz.
Is it Jack?
Yeah, with no K, by the way.
Couple of C's, cutting it up. Congratulations to my friend Dwight Freeney for his induction into Pro Football's Hall of Fame. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He should have gotten in on the first ballot. You know what the F in Freeney stands for, Dan?
First ballot.
First ballot Hall of Famer. You nailed it. Devin Hester. I love you. But if Josh Cribbs gets inducted into Pro Football's Hall of Fame, I'll stop caring about the Hall of Fame. You know what the C in Cribbs stands for? Not Canton. Julius Peppers, inducted into Pro Football's Hall of Fame. Pep. Taylor. Julius Peppers gave Michael Jordan credit in his Hall of Fame speech. That's how you do a speech. Taylor. Top 5 athletes that connote something you might find in your nachos. But that's number 5.
All right, let's see. This should be good.
Chip Kelly.
Strong start.
Number 4, Julius Peppers. Number 3, Billy Bean.
You're shaking your head
Too
because peppers, jalapeno peppers, right? No, you're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
I'm shaking my head because a Billy Bean passed away yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Mad Dog was confused about which Billy Bean and
What?
he did a whole eulogy for A's Billy Bean.
No.
And then he found
That's
out it was
incredible.
not A's Billy Bean.
Right.
Yeah.
no.
Happens. Yeah.
No.
I wrote this, though, on Saturday. Billy Bean was still alive. So
Well, the other Billy Bean
Right,
says
yeah.
respect.
Could cross it out.
Number 2, Corn Elder. Need a mic for that.
Doing like a Santa Fe kind of nacho.
Corn.
Corn,
Corn.
yes.
Oh, I get in the
Of course.
in the tortilla
Corn.
chips. In the tortilla
Corn
chips.
elder.
In the chips. I was picturing corn in my nachos, but okay, fair enough.
Number 1, Chili Davis.
Good list.
Thank you. I mean, corn.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You would think nachos would be my specialty.
To anybody complaining about the new kickoff rules, shut up.
You're not going to like the onside rules. You can't do it if you're if you're winning. You got to announce that you're doing the onside kick. You can only do it in the fourth quarter. You're not going to like those.
Yeah.
The Braves have a guy named Nacho Alvarez Jr.
Oh, man. I missed. It's a big whiff by me.
You don't put nachos in your nachos.
That's
Good
true.
point. Thank you.
I do.
Nachos on top of nachos.
I put nachos in my nachos. Yes.
Now, I wrote this over the weekend again. The White Sox have lost 20 straight games. The last time the White Sox won a game, Dan was still in Africa.
Skipping the White Sox stuff is an option, Stugotz. It's available to you if you're quick on your feet, if you're light on your feet.
Right. I understand. Random baseball thoughts from the golf course
How many more pages do you have there? We've got
on a gummy.
We've got 2 segments that we got to get to. This can't go much longer than this.
Random baseball thoughts from the golf course on a gummy. Every team in the early 2000s thought they were an Octavio Dotel away from competing. You agree?
I do.
Jesse Orozco pitched in 1979 and 2003. You know what that's called, Dano? Across decades.
Wait, what? 1979 to 2003?
It's amazing, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Someone said it to me on the golf course. I was in a gummy. I didn't believe him. I looked it up. It's true. Anyway, Michael Jordan should try baseball again. He'd make this White Sox team. Put this on the poll. If you make a trade with the Marlins, do you automatically win the trade? Watching SportsCenter over the weekend with Zubin Mehenti and was thinking to myself, Zubin, Jay Williams, Keyshawn Johnson. Strange pairing.
That is right where ESPN gave up on radio. Right there.
That show?
That right there.
Not us.
No, we may be the reason they gave up on it. They're like, bleep this. None of this is worth it. We got a big empire over here. No one's listening to radio anymore. Why are we paying anybody?
Matt Carpenter, still playing. Still a Cardinal. Amazing. Carp. The most prepared I've ever been for an interview was last week when I thought the 1980 NL MVP Mike Schmidt was coming on. Can we book George Brett next week? When Ohtani makes contact with a baseball, it looks like it's going to the moon. Home runs should count for more if they go a certain distance. Track it as a stat. Moonshots.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that as
a good idea.
Change. It is a good idea.
You're always in the game. If you hit it a certain distance, it counts as 5 runs.
I don't think it
carried away.
That's the way I would do it. But
Yeah.
there is a way to do it. We ran out of music on the bed.
Yeah, it was only 17 minutes long.
Circling back to golf, one thing that got lost from the final round, with Scheffler shooting a 62, was the up and down Tommy Fleetwood needed to secure a silver medal. 34 yards out, across the green. Hell of an up and down. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
George Brett of the Wall Street Journal next. This is very exciting, Stugotz, because we're going out to Paris right now, and we are throwing some sugar on the David Sampson segment. Ellis Dawson is the candy man. He has gone viral at the Olympics for being the only person on international television other than David Sampson to carry around a gigantic Ziploc bag full of candy. He's the director of national team operations for Team USA basketball. He's been with the program for 20 years. He handles player personnel and basketball operations, but all he does is give candy to players. That's the only thing we know him as, and we have no other interest in asking about anything other than his candy budget because, David Sampson, this is a hero of yours, correct? This is somebody, you're looking at this. You can't believe that we've got Ellis Dawson from Paris joining us right now, the candy man.
This is your number one booking of all time. Ellis, I just want to say that you are my inspiration. What you do for your players is something that I dreamt of doing for my players, and they would just make fun of me because I carry around bags of candy, and we are brothers from another mother.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to do this. I never expected to be at this level of, I don't know, internet sensation, if you want to call it that. It's exciting to be part of something bigger than me. I just didn't think it was going to be as big as this candy thing.
Well, tell me more about how it is, what your budget is, how it came to be. What's the backstory on you giving American athletes so much sugar?
Well, I think it's something that just kind of every team I've been with, like I said, I've been here for 20 years. So this is my 5th Olympics. My first Olympics was in Beijing with 2008. And I've been with the men's program, I've been with the women's program, and I do a lot of things with junior teams. And what the common theme I feel like is always like, what kind of candy do you have at the bench, what time or at the scores table at practice? And it's kind of it evolves over time. I know like a couple of our coaches like certain kinds of candy and like mints and different types of things like that. But it just kind of evolved into Jerry Colangelo, who used to, run the men's program, would always have this certain kind of bubble gum they always had. And it's just something that, to me, it was more of a little bit of a home feel because most of the time our teams go overseas and the first thing they look for is what's American that's there. What can I get? It's that kind of gives them a little bit of a feel from home.
What's your most requested candy?
It's more like some of the mints, I think. Mints are a big deal. I thought chewing gum would be the biggest type, but for some reason I feel like it's something that you don't want to chew gum. I think it's just something that's, what do you do with it when you want to spit it out? I think that's a big thing. But so we've had some caramel type of meals and different types of things, or meals, types of candies that kind of make it happen.
David?
I assume you fly charter with the team, but I must tell you that I get stopped every time with my bag through security because I've got bags of candy. And what they do is they look and they see all the good and plenty and all the black jelly beans and cinnamon jelly beans and Skittles, and they rifle through it, not, thank God, inside the bag, but they touch it over the bag, and it makes me insane. Have you had any issues flying with all of the bags of candy you need for all of your international events?
And before you answer that, Ellis, just put it on the poll, Juju. Should you immediately be profiled and arrested if you go through airport security with black jelly beans at Le Batard Show? What were you saying, Ellis?
We do like a lot of our national teams are a little bit more charter. Our junior teams do not charter, so we go commercial everywhere. I think we had a team, that U17 team that went to Turkey on the men's side, and another team that went to Mexico. And I think we just kind of have what you want to call a manager bag full of different types of candies and different types of things. And obviously you have your markers and your whiteboards and all your different types of items. When it comes to a team like this, I just had a bunch of our support staff when we were in Las Vegas. Hey, I need you to go, and I need you to go grab these different bags of candy and make it individually wrapped, and we're going to take it with us, and we're going to bring it with us, we're going to keep it with us. And the level has dwindled a little bit, but I've had a few people come from the States and said, hey, I need this kind of candy, I need that kind, and just bring it, and we'll have it you'll have it available for these players. It's kind of exciting to be part of that, and to see what what we have. So
Stugotz, I'm kind of stunned that mints are the most popular. If I were to ask the shipping container, what would you imagine should be the most popular candy? Would we have a consensus on that in the other room? Because mints, I wouldn't even be in my top 5.
Yeah, it's obviously Reese's Pieces.
Oh, yeah.
I would
It's
say
like
gummy
gummy
beans.
gummy
Gummy
lifesavers.
beans.
Maybe
Gummy
Reese's
worms,
Pieces,
gummy
Butterfinger.
bears.
What about Milky
lifesavers.
Way? Milky Way needs to be
I
on
would
gummy.
say
You
chocolate.
can eat them at the same time.
They're
It's not
also
heavy.
like-
It's
I
heavy.
think they're cranky
Sit there, you know.
Gummy.
Now
Goes
later,
right
It's
through.
definitely not a
Gummy.
mint, though.
Anything
That
gummy.
is gonna be
Gummy.
dots.
definitely not good in plenty. I don't know what's wrong with you,
Valhalla.
Samson.
Dots. What?
You
what?
can't do dots in a clubhouse.
What?
You cannot do dots. You
Why?
Cannot.
What do
They're
you
not
mean?
allowed
Right.
because you could then need a dentist.
What?
It could. They dots can remove like your filling, and it can get stuck.
Only
We
in a
would not
clubhouse?
allow dots
Wait a
in
minute.
the
Ellis
clubhouse.
Ellis looked at him like he was crazy, and I think Ellis is more of a candy authority than David is. Ellis, you're looking at him and you're saying, what are you talking about? I'm the dots king. I got dots. I'm not taking out any fillings of Olympians.
no, it hasn't gotten a concern yet. I should probably not put that in the atmosphere. But you never know. I would say that probably a chocolate type thing wouldn't be something we'd have on the bench as much, but you would be surprised that our coaches do the cough drops a lot, and the mints. So I think that's kind of a popular thing. And sometimes it's usually just, on the bench. I think more of our coaches go for the candies and different types because, it's just something that they're always, yelling instructions or, whatever. So it's maybe a little different. And then, in the locker room, it's a little bit more, the players take what they need and, get a little bit of a hit of sugar, and it's fun. It's also your job to clean up after them with all the little wrappers that are all around, and that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I like to keep the area kind of as well as clean as possible to make it just make sure we're spotless.
Ellis, how much wiggle room do you have to get cute? You know what I mean? Like if they want Kit Kats, but you want to go and you want to sneak in some of like the Japanese varieties of Kit Kats with different flavors. Do you ever do any of that or no?
I don't. I stay true to what we bought, unless someone says, "Hey, I'd like to get something a little bit different." Maybe a butterscotch here and there or caramel, but most of it's just not. I stay with the tried and true, and until someone tells me.
Who likes Werther's original on the team?
Pop.
Dawn Staley.
Really?
She was the original keeper of that. So and then Grant Hill loves it. Some of our senior staff, like our USA staff, likes those as well. So it's kind of a older hit, I guess.
Ellis,
Do you do red vines or do you do lick or Twizzlers?
Neither.
What?
No, it's just not an option for me. It's just easier to grab. It's a little bit grab and go. The individually wrapped items are a little bit easier to handle.
What's the oddest candy request you've ever received?
I don't know if there's been one. I don't know if I give lots of options. I feel like they take what they get. I stick with those mints and the fruity kind of Jolly Rancher type, or even a Sour Patch Kid or something like that. I don't have too many off the wall. Like I'd have to think it'd probably be more of a junior team or somebody who's kind of used to sour type of something, and you don't have it, you try and find it. But most of the time, it's available and it's not as popular. I feel like it got a lot popular, a week ago, because of what what was seen on TV, and then I jump on a different interview shows, and it's just a little different for me. So,
what is your budget?
Well, it's all kind of inclusive, but I feel like I have a good budget, but I also kind of know that I don't want to go home with a bunch of candy either. So my goal is when I leave Paris on Monday, I believe, is I don't want to have any of that candy. I want to just leave it and just start fresh with a different team. And we've got an October mini camp that's coming up with a bunch of junior athletes, and then we have a qualifier for another event in November. So it jumps right into, we have about 6 weeks before we jump into a new event.
I'm going to try again. What is your budget?
It's endless. It's endless.
An endless budget. All right, excellent.
It's one of the sweetest budgets I could find.
Okay, what
Well
is the weight of what it is that you're carrying around? If you had to put it in pounds.
When we started, I think it was probably over 30 pounds, maybe.
Love it.
So we all put it in one giant bag, and I just refill it every game. So it's just a refill of everything that's there. And then we kind of go to, looks like I lost some of my lights. But yeah, I think we just kind of replenish, and the box is probably now down to maybe 12, 15 pounds or something.
Do you pay attention to using the zipper Ziploc versus the one that you press closed? Because with candy, the zipper is the way to go because you can guarantee the air comes out and the candy stays fresh. The one that's the press and close sometimes can sneak open. Have you found that?
Yeah, and also like when I don't know if you saw in the video, I carry it's, I don't know, Rubbermaid or something, and it's like it's got a little like a little button at the top where you actually press the button so you can like press the air out of it.
Oh, he's got the finest of technology. This man's a veteran. He's learned how to do this. Did I hear you correctly though? Did you say no chocolate? You said no chocolate?
I don't do chocolate. No one's fully requested it either. So
all right, Ellis, I'm gonna have
personally I do chocolate, but
no, but Ellis, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Okay?
Whoa, that's
no,
harsh.
it's just, no, but
What do you mean?
I thought I was dealing with somebody who was the truth. Okay, and you can't be the truth if you're somebody who doesn't do chocolate in your candy. Like, so I'm gonna.
He does chocolate.
No, but
personally, he said he does chocolate.
No, but he's not giving away chocolate. I'm gonna have to ask him to leave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I've desecrated you at the end of what was an excellent interview. I have shamed him, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave because you've offended me.
We never found out what Spo likes.
Right.
Oh yeah.
What does Spo like?
Oh, now you want him back.
Oh gosh. He goes for the mints. He did those high chews, the fruit chew things. But yeah, it's just kind of like I said, it's a hit or miss. It's also like your mood kind of determines what you want to do. So today you might be this candy, you might be that candy, you might be no candies. You might do cough drops. So it's just, like I said, it's more of an opportunity to kind of bring some home to the field or to our play and give it an opportunity to enjoy some little piece of home, even if it's a small piece of candy.
But what part of your job is setting the mood? Like if we win the silver medal, how much of it do we blame on you for not having the right candy and not having chocolate and not putting people in the right frame of mind?
I'm not sure I want to answer that question. I think we have a really big game against Serbia tomorrow, which I'm excited for. Our women's team played tonight against Nigeria in the quarterfinals. So I'm excited for all of our teams, and I think it's the Olympics are a great opportunity to get some international basketball and see NBA or WNBA people in a different uniform, and the camaraderie and the brotherhood of what it is great too. But you also want to go out and win the gold medal, and that's our goal is to do that, and I'm excited to be part of that, and whatever I can do to help them is my biggest step.
David, do you have a top 5 list for Ellis?
I do. I have to give you a top 5 list before you go.
What
if
is
Dan, you'll allow him to stay. I'm loving this, just being around you, being in the presence of candy greatness makes me happy. But I'm going to do a top 5 candies needed if you're going to be the candy guy. First, we start with an OLI. You have to have ice cream. When the players are doing Red Bull, they're doing espresso, they may be doing some greenies. You have to have ice cream in the clubhouse. It helps them calm down. That's
not
OLI.
a candy.
Not a candy.
That's not
It's
a candy.
an ice cream.
That's why it's
Slipping
OLI.
greenies in there?
It's not. Oh, you don't know how to do OLI. That's
Ellis is embarrassed.
Ice
I
cream.
mean-
And what do you? Quit embarrassing us, Samson. Number
Number
5.
5. High Chew. You just mentioned it and it made me smile. High Chew is a critical candy. You get the variety pack, which has the different flavors, which no one can tell the difference of. And you have to rip it open on one side only. And then you have to be careful of the wrappers because they can stick to your hand. But number 5, High Chew.
Gesundheit.
Number 4, critical. Mike and Ike's, but sour. Mike and Ike sours are incredibly popular for players, incredibly popular for staff. You can put them in jars. You can get them individually packaged, or you can get the big multi-pound bag. Love that.
Love those. God, I love those. Number 3.
Kit Kats.
Yeah.
Players love Kit Kats. Your whole thing
Staple.
against chocolate is staggering to me. And you don't get the double Kit Kats. You get the single Kit Kats. The big ones come with 4 and you can rip them. The ones that you talk about, it should be only the one. one at a time.
David, how do you feel about the Kit Kat Big Cat, the big, massive bar of Kit Kats?
Can't do it. It's too much, and it gets sticky in the fingers. The one you can rip, you can take the wrapper off, keep it on the bottom of the single bar, and then eat the bar in either one bite, releasing the wrapper at the end, or in 2 bites, and then the wrapper's done, and no mess, no fuss.
How did you feel about Giancarlo Stanton eating the Kit Kat like a monster when he was on your team, where he would just bite into the 4 bars at the same time?
They would do contests. So that was a little different, what you have in the clubhouse. I'm trying to talk about what it is to be the candy guy, but Stanton can do some stuff with his mouth. Number
What?
Hey, really?
Number 2.
Expand, please.
M&M's plain. And again, not the multi-pound bag. You get the individual bags that have between 7 and 12 M&Ms in, because that is the top rip and then the pour, and you get them all in one bite.
Terrible.
You don't want the position where the players are putting their fingers in the bag to get more M&Ms out. So it's one full roll, and that's the small
What's
little like
terrible,
you see them at
Stugotz?
Halloween.
I mean, of all the
entire
M&Ms,
list!
plain M&Ms, that's ridiculous.
Number
There's
1,
been one
David.
good candy in his top 5, and he had ice cream.
Mike
I
and
mean,
Ike's. I mean, ice cream, unbelievable. Number 1.
Seeds. Oh, you gotta.
Oh,
have
that's
it.
not candy.
Terrible.
Spoken like a guy with no
Jesus.
taste buds.
Terrible
Are you a bird?
list, man? Terrible list. Ellis, what do you think of his terrible list?
he thinks it's awful. Don't answer, Ellis. I mean,
Well, yeah, you're gonna throw Sour Patch Kids in there. Those seem to be pretty good,
yeah.
but
Give him the
I
fanfare,
don't know. I just
Billy.
don't like opening a bag of M&Ms and there's only like 4 M&Ms in it.
Ellis, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate your time, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Looking forward to working. Hopefully getting home with a couple gold medals, and then
Yeah.
moving again to to our next events, and just having more candy for more of our athletes, and hopefully our coaches and everyone.
People
So,
do
appreciate
call,
your time.
they call you the Candy Man, right? I saw that in our graphic. We called you the Candy Guy. People call you Candy Man, right? Not Candy Guy.
Yeah, I've been called Candyman. I actually went to the Nike house today, and someone said, "Hey, I saw you on TV. You're the Candyman." I was like, oh, "Okay, let's go with it."
What percentage of the players on the team don't know your actual name and only know you as the Candy Man?
Fortunately, that they know me by name. I've definitely earned that. I've earned that. So.
Thank you, Ellis. We
Appreciate
appreciate it. Again, we should tell people he's the director of national teams operations for Team USA basketball. So he does have another identity beyond this, but this is the one that made him famous. Thank you, Ellis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellis.
So David Sampson, before we get out of here on a segment that has been eaten up by candy.
I want to hear more about Stanton's mouth. I mean, incredible things that he could do with it. Nothing, huh?
That's a real picture.
David, what did you make of yesterday's news that Pitbull is putting his name on FIU Stadium?
Boy, oh boy, that's quite a deal, isn't it? He's paying $1.25 million per year for 5 years. He is getting naming rights to a stadium and a bunch of other areas at FIU, except it's also really an endorsement deal because that number is way too low. And so the endorsement side is he's got to do a bunch of social media posts. He's got to go meet donors, and he's got to maybe write an anthem for FIU. It's an interesting marriage between a school that obviously wants to get more international and national attention as being the #1 public school in Miami, which it is, and Pitbull giving back, a hugely charitable guy, which he is, a big philanthrop. But this deal, it's a bizarre way to feed an ego while being a person who is so interested in helping kids with charter schools and helping underprivileged people. So I just found the business deal fascinating. I went into pretty good detail about it on today's Nothing Personal. That's already out. But I'll say that it's a match made in heaven for Miami. I just don't think it's a long-lasting match because you can get more than $1.25 million for naming rights, and they will eventually.
What's the movie that you're reviewing for us this week? And I will remind people that when he mentions Nothing Personal and some of the things that he goes into deeper depths on, Nothing Personal is a podcast that should be part of your daily rotation. If you want to get very quickly informed on a variety of subject matter, what's the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
We're reviewing Cirque du Soleil. It's a documentary that came out on Amazon, and it's called Without a Net, and it is about how they got Cirque du Soleil back after COVID. For those not familiar, it's a Montreal-based company. They have shows all over the world, and it's like the circus, but really unique trapeze-style shows, and COVID shut it down. And this show, is in the Bellagio, and they let cameras in as the show was closing, and then throughout the 400 days it was closed, and then what it is for these people to come back and do these performances without the ability to really train during COVID. It was fascinating what these individuals had to do. It's a quick documentary, about 90 minutes, well worth your time, as is going to see Cirque du Soleil. C'est très bon.
Dave, I saw that, and I couldn't believe one of the facts in that documentary, which that O is the most profitable daily entertainment thing in the world.
If you go to Bellagio, you will know exactly why. 7 days a week, it is packed out always. And what they do during that show, they use water. It's the first show ever. It's basically a pool, and people are diving in and out of water in ways that you cannot believe. And this documentary goes behind the scenes showing some of that. And I really did enjoy it, and I think you would too.
Thank you, Samson.
Thank you.
Hello, humans of cyberspace. It's Mike Ryan bringing you one of the best character actors of all time. You know him from Shameless, Boogie Nights, and last but not least, one of my all-time favorite movies, Fargo. It's a classic interview with William H. Macy on DLS.
You play a lot of career losers in your movies, so I guess we'll start here. Has anyone ever told you that you look like former Miami Dolphins coach Cam Cameron, who was 1-15 with the Miami Dolphins here?
All right. But does this make a man a loser? Come on, he was the coach of the Miami Dolphins. Let's give him that, okay? Yeah, I play a lot of losers. It's true.
But do you get told a lot that you look like him, or that he looks like you? I guess.
Well, I've heard it before. Yes, I've heard it before. Good-looking guy, isn't he?
Yeah, sexy, charming. You were born in Miami. I didn't know this. Do you come back here a lot?
I get to Miami every once in a while. I've got family all over Florida. My mom was a Mississippi girl, and yeah, I know Florida pretty well.
But do you spend much time here, or not really, just born and then evacuated?
No, I come back every once in a while.
What would you consider your most successful movie? You were nominated for an Oscar in Fargo. You've been in Air Force One. You starred in The Cooler, Boogie Nights. I imagine probably Wild Hogs grossed better than any of them, I'm guessing. What would you consider, if you could only pick one, your most successful movie?
I mean, certainly all those you named. Wild Hogs, we're going to make another one. That one did well enough. We're going to do a sequel.
How about Fargo? What about a Fargo sequel? Any chance we get to see Jerry Lundegaard in prison?
Wouldn't that be something? Hooey. I would love to work with the Coen brothers again. I think they are great. Everything they do, I think, is absolutely great. They are consummate filmmakers.
I would love for you to, since it's a sports show, sort of say a couple of sentences in Jerry Lundegaard's voice to motivate a local team here. Can you do that for us? And you do it as the loser character.
Oh, geez. Just because you win one game and lose 13 doesn't make you a loser, for goodness sakes.
William H. Macy, thank you for tolerating our nonsense. Do you have one line above all others that people, when they see you, spit back at you?
Well, certainly after Fargo, I mean, around my household, we had to do a non-Fargo talking area because it's addicting when you start talking that way. I don't know. No, not anymore. I mean, there's a lot of lines from Wild Hogs that come up or plays, but thank God I've been around long enough that, there's a couple of memorable lines that I've had.
Do you have a role that you've turned down that you really regret in retrospect turning down?
Not so much, no. I'm pretty good at reading scripts. Certainly there have been roles that I wish I could have gotten, but they were never offered, and I turned them down. No, I'm pretty careful. And truth to tell, it's not like I get offered that much stuff. I mean, I'm not an A-list guy. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Is there anyone you've hated working with? Anyone that you really didn't get along with? I mean, you've worked with Alec Baldwin, with LL Cool J. You've worked with Harrison Ford, as we said. Anyone that you really didn't like working with very much?
No, I've been blessed that way. I mean, I've heard the horror stories just like you, but I have been blessed. Every film I've been on has been pretty good, and I've always had this feeling that if you show up with your A game and you know the lines and you're on time and you treat people with great respect, you're never going to have a problem, and that's been my experience.
When's the last time you walked into a store and bought a DVD?
We get those things called screeners. My wife's in the academy, and I'm in the academy, too, and oh, that's not true. I bought some DVDs just last week. I want to direct a film, and I was looking at an actor, and I bought some DVDs.
What's last question before we let you go here? What is the greatest perk involved with being you? Because when you say you get these DVDs, I imagine that's not real high on the list of perks that get involved with being your kind of famous. Okay. We just got hung up on by Jerry Lundegaard.
We're sorry. Your telephone is out of order. There appears to be a receiver off the hook. Please check your main telephone and extensions. PUAMI.
Not feeling very good about myself right now. We'll be right back. Stugotz came in here muttering. He doesn't often do this. He just said we failed. We failed during the last 20 minutes of what we were doing.
I mean, we had the Candyman on. It's our kind of guest. I don't feel like we did a good enough job with him. David's top 5 was an embarrassment. I mean, the whole thing was a failure as far as I'm concerned.
We didn't find out. We didn't find out if he gets a medal if they win. We didn't get any of that info.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a terrible list by David Sampson. How seeds? What is how
ice
is that?
cream and seeds on a candy list?
Yep.
Like, what is he doing? That's just stuff he likes in his clubhouse is what he was doing. That wasn't a candy list.
I'm surprised he didn't say, like, dried fruit.
Yeah. But seeds. Like, what like, he's talking about...
And number 1, too.
Prunes.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Number one.
Nobody would put seeds in a candy list.
I can't believe how many players actually like Werther's Original. Like, I was kind of joking. I thought it was like
I kind of like it.
I like
I
it,
too.
but I thought you've always made fun of me because you say it's an old person's candy. I think that's an exceptional
It is an old person.
It is.
That's why I was thinking Popovich probably was the one that
It's just
brought
caramel.
that
That's
around
all it
USA
is.
basketball.
Good joke.
Delicious caramel. It's the name, right? Werther's. It makes it feel old. It is old, but it sounds older because it's Werther's, right?
Well,
Yeah.
what is the oldest feeling of all the candies?
The strawberry ones.
The strawberry one.
Oh,
the little
yeah.
straw. It looks like a strawberry.
Butterscotch.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do better than that strawberry one, which I also like. I also like that.
You like the
one.
strawberry one?
Yes. I mean, it's an old person's candy.
I've never eaten it.
and
I've
you're
always
old.
seen it at my abuela's house, but I've never actually eaten it. I don't think she's ever actually eaten it either.
I like the consistency of what's inside more than just the flavor of it because some of this stuff is textural. Mike and Ike's, that's why I like Mike and Ike's. That's why I like Dots.
So I just Googled old people candy, and the first pictures that came up were Werther's Original and the strawberry candy. Like that, just right now, look, right there. There's
All
4
right,
images.
We ended
That's
the
it.
game
That's the game.
fairly immediately. Can you please play for me as I get serious here for a second locally? Can you just play for me the music that we have that is way too upbeat for the stuff that I'm talking about?
Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The oceans are all burning, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die.
Stugotz, our friend Adam McKay, who created Funny or Die and is responsible for a generation of movie comedy, has legitimately been made insane by the approaching climate apocalypse. That this man made Succession, among other things, and has moved away from making giant Hollywood things for the moment because he's concentrating on climate change and Yellow Dot Studios. And most recently, he's putting up a bunch of satirical U.S. billboards that are making fun of big oil, and he's just showing like temperatures that are going out of control all over the world, brought to you by big oil. They're all satirical billboards going up all over the United States. And I wanted to bring this up because I don't know if you saw in Sarasota and Clearwater on the other side of the state, a bunch of flooding that has killed 6 people. Now, if any of these 6 people were people that you care about, you would be alarmed by what it is that's happening, which is this was a minor storm. It was not a hurricane. It was Debbie, not of any size, although it did grow quickly because of how hot the Atlantic Ocean is. And I believe we're in a new normal now where flooding that, I mean, if you think Olympic swimmers are getting sick in bad water, and if you want to just go anywhere around Florida and check for alligators, here's how you do it. You reach over to some water, and if it's wet, there are alligators. If you are someone who cares about Florida at all, and you see what's happening with flooding that is more than inconvenience, again, 6 people have died, this was a nothing storm, and all it did was stall. And it grew large into close to a 1, because of how I believe that the water is so hot now that the storms are just going to get bigger, faster, without warning because forecasters don't know what to do with our new normal.
So you're worried, and you have every right to be. We all should be worried because a storm like that causes that kind of damage. Imagine a real storm. Imagine a real storm hitting a Florida coast, a Cat 4, right?
I mean, I don't have to imagine it. Already, Sanibel Island got taken out.
I know.
It's what is happening is mortifying, and I know people don't want to talk about it, but I don't know that there's a more pressing thing that we have than we're ruining the earth for everyone who comes after us. And I will just alert you to it again and again when this stuff makes its way quietly around and kills 6 people, and nobody cares, but you would care if any of the 6 people were people that you cared about. Yesterday on the show, Stugotz, we were talking about this report from Steve Corder at Athlons, and I was asking you guys, because certainly if he had reported this and done it for a publication that had a lot of mainstream access, this would be a sports scandal that would knock the Olympics off of your television screen, because the details in this, and again, there are allegations. This is all reportedly, and Deion Sanders has suggested legal action. So I'm going to bring in Steve Corder now to talk about the reporting, because it's a chaotic culture turns into locker room violence in Colorado with some of the details. And one of the players is quoted as saying it's real life Grand Theft Auto. Fights, guns, money floating around, old University of Miami stuff. So Steve Corder joins us now from Athlon Sports. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. Can you walk us through your reporting, please? Why were so many players willing to talk to you?
Well, this started a couple months ago, once everybody started hitting the portal. So I started reaching out, and one thing led to another. Somebody would give me a snippet here, a snippet there. Oh, you should talk to this person. So I just continually reached out, and yeah, like I said, it's just kind of been building over the last 3 or 4 months.
Tell us about the gun allegations.
It's rampant there. There's a video that's circulating that I actually found after the piece where they're asking, I believe it's Bucky is going around asking who's the most strapped on the team, and people are giving their opinions. It's not just one person; it's multiple people. I found a video also last night of Travis Hunter and Deion fishing, and there's a gun in plain sight while he's fishing. So it seems like it's just part of the culture.
What do you think were the most outlandish details in your report? What were the things that you were most surprised to learn?
The incident between Washington and Jordan Seaton. Like, I understand things like that go on. Like, I'm not naive.
Tell us what happened for the uninitiated, please.
Basically, Jordan was asked to show his manhood, and him and Washington got into a fight. And there's a picture that is of Seaton that was taken, I believe, 2 days later, that he's obviously bruised. His lip looks busted. And again, this came to me after the fact, after the story came out. But, you know, like I said, I understand hazing. I understand things go on in a locker room. But it seems like it's just a little too much that's going on that need to be reported on.
From what you said, it sounds like you have more information now than you did. It sounds like better information is now available to you since you've done your reporting than there was while you were doing your reporting.
Yeah, a lot more people have come out between people sending me messages on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Just saying, hey, have you seen this? Hey, have you heard about this? And it's kind of opened a floodgate. But there is, it's not a belief. There's a lot more going on than just what I've reported.
What was your reaction, Steve, when you heard Deion Sanders dismiss your reporting?
I'm not surprised. To be honest, I did a piece about a Lil Wayne concert a couple months ago, and I could tell from that that I hit a nerve, because the way that they reacted, they were talking about it on campus, they were making content about it. And to me, that let me know that I was on the right track. That was just, like I said, kind of one of the first things that I had worked on. Same with this. They made a specific content to talk about the story. And it's like, if it's not true, then just say it's not true. But nobody has said that. CU gave a no comment. The players weren't specifically asked about it, but nobody has come out and said, no, none of that ever happened. So, like I said, I'm confident in my reporting.
Deion Sanders has dismissed the report. He is quoted as saying, "That's when you know you are doing well, when they start lying." Can you take me through the vetting of this? Have you noticed that the story hasn't gained traction, and that if you were working someplace other than Athlon Sports, you would assume that this story would get traction? And I don't say that as an indictment of Athlon Sports. There are like 5 entities in America that can report something like this and have it get traction.
I am somewhat surprised, but again, the amount of fanfare and attention that Deion gets, anything that is controversial, gets talked about, gets put out there. As far as vetting, like I said, I just started talking to players that have transferred and checking things out. I would talk to another player, and as things lined up, as things made sense, like I started putting, blocks on top of another, and, it finally worked itself out.
What have your last 5 days been like?
It's been a little different than normal. I consider myself just a normal guy who's, just trying to take care of his family and, do what he's supposed to do for them. But I've been getting all kinds of messages and, DMs and things like that. People talking crazy, people calling me a liar, and words that I can't say on TV, and it's a little unsettling. But again, I know the truth, and the truth will set you free, as some say.
Can you explain to us why folks should trust your reporting?
I don't know if there's a reason why they should trust it. I just know I've talked to these kids, these young men. They're scared. They're worried about repercussions, whether it be players that are no longer there or players that are there. So, I'm just doing what I think is what's right, what needs to be done. If this was going on anywhere, I would think that anybody would want to know about it, whether it's the university, whether it's the state, whether it's the players' families, whatever that may be.
What do you say to folks who say, like Stugotz did yesterday, I want to hear from current players. I don't want to hear with a bunch of players who have an axe to grind.
No, I totally get that. But it's kind of the same deal. If players that are there, what are they going to say? If they speak out against Deion, against what's going on, they're going to be in the same spot as some of these other players. I have a story about a former player who was very tight with Deion. And the week before he actually was released, he spent time with Deion privately. So it just kind of goes to show you that it doesn't matter who you are. It's all about what's best for him and what he's trying to get accomplished.
How bad would you say the bullying is?
How bad is the what? Sorry.
The bullying.
It seems fairly bad, but again, I don't know if that's from what was reported with the Shiloh and Cormani incident. But I think it comes from the top. It feels, I don't know if it comes straight from Deion, but it seems like that's the culture that they're setting. And again, maybe that's some kind of NFL thing or something because he's been at that next level that he's experienced, and that's how you're supposed to handle the kids and the program. But it seems like it just seems a little much.
Why aren't Colorado beat reporters and national college football reporters working on stories like this?
I can't speak on national reporters. I would think that the beat reporters are content because they have access, or they have the access that Deion allows them to have. and that's enough for them. Maybe they don't believe it. Maybe they only believe what they see and what they're told. I can't speak on any of that.
Are you going to continue your reporting on this now that things are continually pouring in?
Yes, absolutely.
And how much more is there here from what it is that you've gathered in the last 5 days since your reporting? Like how much worse is it than you initially thought?
It is worse. There's just a lot more that's to be told, whether it be again, I don't know if any current players will ever speak out. But I know that there is more, and there's things that are going to come down the line within again, I don't know the next couple of days, the next week, but there is more that's going to come out on this.
All right, Steve, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it. Is there anything else you think we need to know here? Because this is going to, again, I will repeat, Deion has suggested legal action. Everything here is alleged. Everything here is reportedly. It's Athlon Sports. Are you worried about this legal action? Are your editors worried about this legal action?
There's no reason to worry. I vetted my sources. I checked, I double checked. I have multiple people that I trust. There's, again, I understand there's an axe to grind, there's this, there's that. But once you talk to, more than 2, 3, 4 people, then I have to go with my gut and what I believe these guys.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the work, sir.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Stugotz, your thoughts here, because we've been talking about it for 2 days, and last year we got, carried away with the first month of Deion Sanders football because he was bringing marketing and fame. But I say carried away, and I don't say it as criticism. It was fun and delightful. Like I would do it all exactly again because he has come to something that has always been done a certain way, and he has decided to do it as straight businessman.
Right.
Like, I'm going to take away all Deion Sanders comes from a locker room. I don't remember. You guys will find the name for me somewhere. In the Cowboys locker room, Michael Irvin one time took out a teammate with a pair of scissors, just stabbed him with a pair of scissors because Deion's from a different time. That Cowboys locker room was nuts on and off the field.
Wait, Michael Irvin killed someone?
No,
in
he
the
didn't
locker
kill
room
him.
with scissors?
No, just stabbed him with scissors. You don't have
Oh.
to kill everybody when you hit him with scissors.
Oh, he took him out. I thought we were killing.
Everett McIver.
The backstory on that, thank you. Tony knew that off the top of his head.
In the neck. I mean,
think about that. So could have killed him. Billy says Michael Irvin killed a man. Well, he could have. I don't know. In fact, given the rage and the scissors and the neck, that formula can kill a person, and that's super dangerous.
The quote was, "Punk, get the fuck out of my chair." Then next stab it with scissors.
Yeah, that's it. I think MacGyver was in his. I think Michael Irvin wanted a haircut first.
What kind of scissors?
Scissors?
But were like the blunt
good
tip, like
question.
they have the
Right.
blunt tip
Yeah.
ones that like kindergartners use. They use construction paper with. Then you have like if now you're saying
The
barber's
zigzag
chair.
scissors.
It's a bit different.
Yeah,
Office scissors.
the zigzag.
Probably not
scissors are
zigzag
also,
scissors.
Yeah, because if you're doing like cutting barber shears, then those are pretty pointy. I don't know. I'll look into it. I'll get back
Thank
to
you.
you.
Please do that. I doubt it's the kindergarten scissors. I don't think
You never
that's,
know, Dan.
I feel like I do know that one. I feel like that's not what happened there. I don't think that's what Michael Irvin. I think I do know.
Well, because
that
blunt
one.
tip, yeah. Look, see these scissors. Was it those type of scissors? I don't think it was those type of scissors. If you do the blunt tip, that would explain how you don't kill someone. Because like you stab someone in the neck with scissors, you assume this ends very badly.
My point is that an NFL locker room, a football locker room in general, is probably a little bit different of a work environment, especially in the 90s, than the ones that we work in.
I think it might be like those tape cutters, like one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, from the training room.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So Dion enters year 2 now, and I imagine a whole bunch of this is going to end up following him all over the place. And the only way to silence it is through winning. But it is a super different way of doing things, Stugotz, to go into every year with 50 transfers, no problem. Just going to bus a bunch of guys in here from all over the United States who are, football players in the ecosystem, the economy of making giant money in the big business that college football now is. And when you have that kind of turnover and you're running a place as loosely as I would imagine Dion would run one, you're going to have some spillage that turns into some ugly things. I happen to believe this reporting. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not looking at this and trying to question the credibility of the reporting.
It was interesting because I'm not either, by the way. I feel like he handled himself very, very well. He's confident in his sources. He's confident in his reporting. That's all you can ask.
I'm not even talking about that interview. I'm talking about in the article that
Right.
I read, I believe the reporting.
Back to Dion for a second, though, because he was on with us recently, and he was very excited for transfer day. It's like he is hell-bent on flipping over this roster every single year and giving him what he believes to be the best chance to compete for the playoffs, compete for a national championship. But, Dan, if some of this stuff is true, I can't imagine Dion lasting very long at Colorado. Can you?
All Miami did was live in this space and get their coaches great jobs in the pros. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Are you not paying attention? If he wins, it doesn't matter whether all of this is in his program.
Yeah, but UM was winning, and they were winning big, and they were winning national championships. Dion's not even close to winning.
You say that, and I understand that. You're right about that, but he expects to be in the playoffs next year. And so if he gets there, a lot of this will be tolerated because that's the world we're living in, Stugotz. The world we're living in is the player now has the ability to transfer and has more power than he used to have. But because the coach is still in charge and can get rid of you after a year as well, can just run you off by making you miserable, that puts the coach in a position to run things differently than they've ever been run before.
If that report came out about Miami, I feel like there would be a lot of investigations. There would be a lot of things happen. No, it's true,
Guys,
though.
no one cares about Miami nationally. I hate to break it to all of you.
But the U would be
like this is in 1984.
The U would be so back.
Okay.
But Colorado is the new Miami without the winning. Just by virtue of
the current Miami.
So they're the current Miami with more scandal.
I'm looking into this stabbing incident that happened. It is kind of insane. So I see it as described as shears that were plunged into his neck. Yeah. And then when Jerry Jones was pressed on it, he said the two men were involved in horseplay. Then they asked Chan Gailey about the situation, and he also said the incident was horseplay and it's being handled in-house. And Jerry Jones apparently went to Michael Irvin and compelled him to, quote, fork over a handsome son, reportedly 6 figures, to keep the situation quiet. Because Michael Irvin at the time was on probation for his cocaine bust.
Hush money.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Do horses play by stabbing each other in the neck with scissors?
That's why my grandma, my parents, everybody always told me, no juego de mano.
That is why they would say that.
And if somebody ends up with a scissor in the neck, why? Juego de mano.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Michael Irvin also, before the incident, not once but 4 times yelled seniority.
I think
He's right.
The way that I remember it is that Michael Irvin wanted to get into a barber chair before anybody.
Seniority.
Which brings us to
Earned it.
a top 5 list that Tony has in honor of Gordon Hayward joining us later in the show. Top 5 haircuts in honor of Michael Irvin stabbing someone for being in the barber's chair. Any OLI, Tony, in honor of Gordon Hayward? Top 5 NBA haircuts or just haircuts in sports?
Top 5 NBA haircuts with Gordon Hayward having a transition of different haircuts throughout his time in the NBA. I've got 2 OLIs, and then I've got a top 5. So OLI number 1, Dr. J.
Excellent.
Iconic fro.
Yeah. Old school fro.
Yeah, just like the tight, high and tight, just
But not a cut. He grew it out. I mean,
Sure, but it's a haircut.
He's
but
got to
yeah.
trim it.
okay.
Number 2, Anderson Varejao. Can't think of Varejao without the hair.
Very Sideshow Bob. Yes, very Simpsons. Number 5.
Number 5, Ben Wallace's fro.
So this is all froze. So far we're in the
That's his list. I mean,
Number 4.
Number 4, Carlos Boozer's Beijing.
Boozers.
Classic haircut.
Number 3.
Drew Gooden's patch. Remember the patch? He had the headband, but then just a patch on it. There we go. Nice little picture.
Video. Put on Carlos Boozer's terrible shoe polished hair.
We had them all with video accompaniment, so we can run through the top 5 really quick if you want. Again, there's Carlos Boozer's Beijing.
Yeah.
Then we had Drew Gooden's patch, which was excellent. Number 2, AI's braids.
Nice.
Classic. Had white people wearing cornrows for a long time. just being honest. And number 1, MJ's bald head.
Yep.
Oh.
He made bald cool, Dan. Look at that.
You know what that is?
That's like Hannibal Lecter or something, right?
Yeah. Shoot. All right, let me try it again.
That's Hannibal Lecter
Faster,
louder.
though. Yeah, it's faster.
It's supposed to be a sprinkler.
Oh. I hear it now. I hear it. Yeah.
I miss sprinklers. What happened to sprinklers?
No.
What do you mean? What happened to them?
I feel like you used to drive down the street and see sprinklers on all over the place, right? And then we had like water crises, and then you couldn't like have your sprinklers on at certain times. And I think people just went away from having sprinklers. Like
I still see sprinklers.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't see them anymore?
Huh?
I see them every morning. I don't understand what it is that you're
Where do you
doing
see them? You live in an
your
apartment.
neighborhood.
Everywhere.
They're just wetting their apartments.
No, Miami Beach, all over Miami Beach in the morning. They water the grass out there.
All right.
Why were you doing a sprinkler sound?
Hard Knocks is back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Long 1 week break for Hard Knocks.
Again, why are you
Yeah.
doing a sprinkler sound?
Because back in my day, Dan, they used to always open Hard Knocks with a nice like black, and then it would fade to color sprinkler going off in a field on a practice field. They go. And that was how they would open Hard Knocks. It felt like every year, but now they do it differently. And what they did with the Bears' first episode of Hard Knocks last night was outstanding Hard Knocks.
Because
It's our team.
Oh,
Or one of them.
Not really,
I
but
mean-
that's okay. I'll pretend it is. We're gonna keep that bit going because the Bears might actually be good this year.
Well, no, but it is your team because this year they're doing a whole division, right?
Well, yeah, there's an AFC North Hard Knocks too. We're getting Hard Knocks out right now, and so far so good. So they open Hard Knocks and they did like a nice montage. First it was like Caleb Williams getting drafted first overall on draft night. So it opened with the phone call of him and Matt Eberflus at the NFL draft, and then they did this whole like montage of like Bears going down the Chicago River. Have you guys ever been to Chicago and done like the architectural river tour? Oh, it's like the greatest thing. You have to do it at some point in your life. You go down the river and then they're like, to your left is this building, to your right is this building. This is the Chicago Opera House. This is the Madison Street Bridge. And you go down, and so they did that with the Bears, and like all the old Bears were on the buildings and stuff. And then they went into like an Alan Parsons Project intro for Caleb Williams with the old Chicago Bears. Do 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 do, and the whole thing with Caleb Williams. Then he came out and it was amazing. It was so good.
Hard Knocks is great for wrapping all of the packaging that you love in. I mean, NFL Films is so pioneering in making all of this stuff into acrobatics and ballet and art. But Hard Knocks, the Giants, was focused mostly on the executives, right? I did see that Eberflus got a makeover, right? He's coming into this season as an entirely different human being.
Well, you're skipping ahead to the goods now, Dan. So, yes, Giants offseason Hard Knocks was just about like from the end of the season through the draft and free agency and everything until like the training camp starts, basically. So it was like a lot of Joe Shane on a computer. That was basically 4 weeks of that.
Riveting.
We saw it.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't bad. I would say if you're a Giants fan or just vaguely interested in football and you want something to watch during the summer, not a bad show. I was pleasantly surprised by it. Yes, Billy.
Well, so I have a question because I'm confused, and I feel like other people might be confused too. So there was the off-season Hard Knocks, which was the Giants. Then this is like the regular, what we normally get
This is
Hard
Hard
Knocks.
Knocks,
This
yes.
is the Bears, and then there's in-season Hard Knocks, and then that's going to be the AFC North.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
No, my confusion was that I thought that we were now going on to like the
You
AFC
thought this was
North.
AFC North. No,
AFC
no.
North is in season.
That'll come.
Got it.
So this is just the Bears. And so I think the biggest lesson from the first episode of the Bears Hard Knocks is that all you need to do as a person who is maybe slightly on a warmer seat is to get an all-new makeover and pretend like nothing that happened in the past actually happened. You're starting over. You've got a beard now. I've heard that Eberflus bought a Dyson hairdryer to get volume in his hair. He's got longer hair now, and they talked about his whole makeover and how he's like dressing differently and like kind of just he's just a different guy now. He's like really got this new look, and it works. Like it works. The guy looks great.
Kind of like Dan. Got the new makeover, got the hair going, got the beard a little bit. I like that.
Kind of like me.
Started wearing overshirts too. Good look for you.
You started dressing like Jeremy.
Wow. The Bears were truly terrible last year, and now they have wrapped up a whole lot of hope in we're going to be exciting offensively. And I don't know where it is that you guys are with Hard Knocks because I don't need more Hard Knocks. The novelty of it is lost for me. The access, even though it's more access than the average access, I didn't want to watch a bunch of Giants executives executiving.
Okay. Question for the room. Pop quiz. 2 goats in this first episode of Hard Knocks. If you can name one of the 2 goats, I'll give you like $5 or something.
Well, what do you mean?
Two goats.
Two goats.
Two of the greatest of all time were in this episode of
Simone
Hard Knocks.
Biles.
Michael Jordan.
Bingo.
Was
Billy.
she really?
Yes, because her husband
Really?
is a safety for the Bears, and he was packing his bags for the Paris Olympics, and they let him have a few days off of camp.
$5.
I'll get it from the fine bucket right now.
That was
a hint on who the second goat is, by the way.
That was kind of amazing, though, the idea that the Bears did let him leave camp to go do that. That is not a normal thing that football people do, even if your wife is Simone Biles.
It works when you're like the third or fourth string DB.
Right. I mean, it's
Kinda get away with it.
Biles.
Works when you can get Simone Biles.
Dude,
on
Caleb
Hard
Williams
Knocks.
are probably not taking time off.
It says
You can't do it.
Works when you can get her on the show.
It
Exactly.
says it's
Caleb Williams
camp, but-
needs the reps.
But Aaron
This guy
Rodgers
doesn't?
You know who
missed
says
camp.
that in the episode? The other goat. You know who the other goat is?
Feinbaum?
You're very close.
Oh.
Nick Saban.
Oh, wow.
What is he doing there?
I
He
think
was Eberflus's former coach at Toledo.
Eberflus does look
Rockets.
more like a coach. I would not rule out Nick Saban coaching again in the NFL. Everyone's talking about Belichick, and maybe he goes to Philadelphia, maybe he goes here, maybe he goes there. I'm telling you, the one thing Nick Saban hasn't done throughout his coaching career is had success at the professional level. And I would not be surprised if the right situation popped up, a good roster, a Super Bowl-ready roster pops up, if Nick Saban takes that job.
You've
Lewis,
lost your mind.
Lewis, do me a favor, please.
saying.
What can our video crew do to isolate the Stugotz hot take hand? Because you would have gotten full sausage fingers thrown in your face there. Because Stugotz, if you did not notice what just happened, we were talking about Hard Knocks. We were talking about Jessica's team. We were talking about things that Jessica was interested in. And you opened up the portal to him giving an opinion on Nick Saban, and he snuck in there with just unbelievable vigor. It was like seeing
sure I say it first.
it was like seeing going back to our honeymoon. The original Stugotz 20 years ago, eyes light up. I can give an opinion on a college coach never having done it in the pros.
He's in a negligee.
Can I give you
On
some
your honeymoon?
insight into why this happened? It's because I will not indulge this on God Bless Football because he's tried this a number of times. I'm
You're
like,
right.
Stugotz, he was disastrous in the NFL the last time that he was there.
Right.
He's now retired, and people are considering him the greatest coach of all time, if not one of, if not the greatest coach of all time. If he goes to the NFL, all he's going to do is mess that up. There's no way that he can build on his resume by going to the NFL. It makes no sense because he can just jump from one team to another. He can do this thing. He can be Savior Nick Saban, come in and talk to people, and he will retire. Well, he's retired already, but he will live the rest of his life as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Why would he mess that up?
You think Nick Saban is happy that he's one of the greatest coaches of all time? And you know why he's called one of the greatest coaches of all time and not the greatest coach of all time? Is because of Bill Belichick. And if Saban goes and he goes to the NFL and he has success, he wins a Super Bowl with a team that's ready right now, he becomes, without any sort of discussion, the greatest head coach in the history of football. With one Super Bowl. One, Billy. Why not take the chance? Because even if he goes there and fails, right, no one's going to walk away and say, oh, Nick Saban, not a great coach. They're never going to say that about him. He's always going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. This is a chance to be the greatest coach of all time.
So what team is that?
Chicago, Dallas, Philadelphia.
Chicago's Super Bowl ready.
Buffalo.
They're a Nick Saban away from winning the Super Bowl.
I will tell you this. The Bears, Caleb Williams, he has more pressure on him than any rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL. I am telling you that right now. That team was built to win this season or next season. Caleb Williams, if he's good, I said this on God Bless Football last week, and I'll say it again right here. If Caleb Williams is good, the Bears are making it to the Super Bowl.
Video, get better at the hot take hand. Please, you guys are all over the place and you can't keep up with the master. Video, I need you to speed up your shit and get better at keeping up with the sausage fingers as they fly all over the place because he is in his element right now, being able to tell you what Nick Saban needs to do to make the giant leap from among the best
Tied
ever
for first to first.
best ever according to Stugotz, who will then make a different argument if Belichick returns.
The whole thing also
On to me.
is so ironic if you watch the episode and listen to what Nick Saban specifically is saying about how rookie quarterbacks get harmed by like the media hype machine around them, and how like you can't take too much stock into that sort of thing, and like you just have to like go through it and do the reps and actually, you know, go through the practices and not pay attention to that sort of stuff, because that is the ultimate killer. And so Stugotz is just like playing the hits right now. I hope this is in the next episode of Hard Knocks. They had Mina in there using her voice, Pat McAfee's voice. I need Stugotz's voice in there.
That's a good idea. Say things that will get you on Hard Knocks. I love it. You want to try, Dan?
I can't believe the amount of pressure that Caleb Williams is under. And I would not want to work under the conditions, no matter how talented I were. I'm not tough enough in any way to be an athlete, to have to do all the learning that position requires and then have to be ready for the speed of the pro game. It's just not a job I would want, because we have now fast forwarded. It's super interesting to me, Stugotz. We just talked about Deion Sanders. The way that we're doing this to what are still kids, even though like they look like they're in adult bodies, where in college football, we're just making it big business and we're dispensing with any of the nonsense that involves like the illusion of these kids having to be students, because it's the big business of football. You got to get in there. And if you're not good enough, fast enough, get the hell out. You lose your scholarship, you lose your education, you lose your opportunity, get out. We don't want you anymore. To now have Caleb Williams be a player who was great last year, but was crying on the sidelines when they would lose game, because so far what you have with Lincoln Riley and USC is a failure in a season of great expectations. Now the expectations get even bigger than that. Hey, kid, go to Chicago, which really cares about football, and bail everyone out, because they've been bad for years. They haven't mattered for years. They haven't had a quarterback. The best they got is Jay Cutler. That's the best ever. Rex Grossman's the one who took him to the Super Bowl. No one has ever had in Chicago these kinds of expectations at that position, and I just wouldn't want that on someone who's not fully formed as an adult. If he's crying on the sidelines of games last year because everything up there is really hard.
I think that he is like a fully formed adult. I wouldn't go that far. Like, he's obviously, last season for USC was really upsetting because he was putting up these crazy numbers on offense, but then their defense would give up so many points that they were in these like shootouts every single week. And so to go from like a play away from the playoff the year before to finishing the season with 6 losses last year, I think you just saw how much he really, really cared about that team and about making the playoffs finally. And so it was just an incredibly disappointing season for the Trojans. And so I actually don't take anything negative away from that. Like, he cared a lot about winning with that team, and it just obviously did not work out for them. But I will say one other thing, and I'm wondering if you guys noticed this. I feel like the Hall of Fame game and the Hall of Fame enshrinement this year way overshadowed by the Olympics. I was looking through the Hall of Fame enshrinees. Is that what we call them? Yeah. Half of them I didn't even realize were getting enshrined this year. Like, I was just locked in, laser focused on the Olympics, and I found myself getting like really into these like kind of non-mainstream events. Like last night, the 1,500 meter run. Did you guys watch this?
Yeah, the upset, the giant upset. They just ran. He hunted the underdog who won from the United States. I don't know his name.
Cole Hawker, I believe,
chased everyone down who ran out of gas, because the shorter races are all fast twitch muscle fiber, and the longer races you better have stamina at the end, because you will get hunted down by the Femke Bowles of the world.
She's incredible, by the way, and I think the 400 meter hurdle final is today, I want to say. But last night they were replaying the 1,500 meter, which is like just under a mile, so they're running it in like 3.5 2.5 minutes. And the NBC, I love this because they set up this huge showdown between the runner from Great Britain and the runner from Norway, who are both like prodigies in this event. And they were like, this is an ultimate competition. Like, is the Norwegian guy going to defend his gold medal? And like, blah, blah, blah. And like, they've been going back and forth, like jawing at each other for years over who's better 1,500 meter runner and stuff like that. And then like the last 100 meters, the American just comes out of nowhere up the side and wins the gold medal. And both of them lost the gold medal. And it was like the Norwegian guy didn't even get on the podium. And another American who actually went to Notre Dame, Jared Naguse, he won the bronze by like, he was almost in silver. So both of these guys were like this close away from not even getting silver or gold. The other guy didn't get anything. It was freaking bananas.
To Stugotz's point, was that yesterday? Was that today? Was that in the morning? Was that last night?
It was yesterday at like 3 o'clock, and then they replayed. Do you watch
3 o'clock in the morning?
No, like in the afternoon. It was like one of the main events.
There's games and matches and things that happen at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know what it is, and then they play them tomorrow.
When I watch the steeplechase, I want to know I'm watching it for the first time. That's all I'm saying. I watched it last night. The one who the runner who won the gold medal 4 years ago was defending the gold medal. She had a big lead. She got caught. She didn't defend her gold medal. She won silver, and someone new won gold.
Yeah,
I'd like to know I was watching that for the first time.
Well, you were because you didn't know what had happened to it already. But I'll give you a little like cheat sheet, Stugotz. I don't know what time you get home from work, but what I've been doing, I get home in the afternoon. I turn on Gold Zone, and when you turn on Gold Zone after like 2-3 o'clock, you're getting sort of like the prime time events, like the stuff like USA men's basketball yesterday, which was on like in prime time in France. So it was 8 o'clock at night, which is I guess 2 o'clock here or 3 o'clock here. So you're watching like the prime events in the afternoon live, but then they curate the best events from the day and replay them on NBC starting at 8 o'clock, hosted by Mike Tirico. And they'll add in like certain different elements, like this thing with the 1,500 meter race. They added this like package that they made about these two runners like going at it and like hating each other, even though they already knew like the American guy was just going to come out of nowhere. So they had him and the other American that won come in the studio and do an interview afterwards. So it was great. Honestly, I've been enjoying, and I will watch things twice if they're good. I don't give a shit. So I watched that 2 times and it was just as good the second time.
Regarding Femke Bol, Stugotz, I don't know if you have seen her, but in the relay, she just hunted down incredibly fast people from unfathomable distances. But I read that her time in the 400 hurdles would have qualified for the 400 without hurdles. That she's beating.
What?
I said I said earlier in these Olympics, like it's just super rare when you see a Connor McDavid or a Tyreek Hill or a Simone Biles, when you're watching the world's athletes and one of them is so clearly better than everyone else doing it. You don't see these margins of somebody's on the 9th hurdle and she's finished the race. Like everybody else is at the 9th hurdle and she's done with the race already. You're not that much better ever than the rest of the world, but she is.
She's really good, but the American Sydney McLaughlin-Lavroni is the one that is the favorite to win. She won the gold in Tokyo, and I think they're racing tonight or like today in the afternoon. So
you think? That's my point.
You might be able to get. It's either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look at the schedule this
Have
morning.
you made
But there is
any-
a schedule.
Hold on. Yeah, have you made any effort to look up the schedule? Because it's there. You can find it very easily online.
I turn on my TV, I hit channel 6, and that's it. I mean, that's the effort I'm making.
iTunes. He goes to iTunes.
Oh my God! On Channel 6 the other night, one of the reporters, they sent them to Paris and they went to that store that has like 150 different types of butter. Have you guys heard of this place?
Oh my God!
It's in France. They have like 150 different types of butter, and you can go there if you're a tourist, and they'll buy whatever butter you want, and they'll vacuum seal it so you can bring it home. It's crazy.
Wow.
There's so many different types of butter.
150 types of butter, like different animal
different
butters?
flavors, like everything.
It's too much. I mean,
The
give me a stick of butter.
excitement in Jessica's voice at the idea of having 150 choices for butter. You can hear her mouth watering.
Is it all butters or margarine? Like, what's the deal?
No, it's butters.
All butter.
Really?
Apparently,
Yeah.
it's
Margarine.
illegal to sell butter in France that's under 82% milk fat or something like that. So
I
their
like
butter is
that.
like super creamy.
Yeah.
We have an entire state dedicated to making dairy products, and yet I don't think Wisconsin has a single store that sells 150 different types of butter. They need to get on that.
Yeah.
Circling back around, Stugotz, on Hard Knocks, I am not intending to infantilize Caleb Williams. I simply don't think of any rookie entering sports to be a fully formed adult because I believe that people who get that far, top 1% of the top 1%, kind of have to be lopsided all of their life in order, obsessive compulsive, to be that good. You can't do it without caring in a way that's unreasonable, and all sorts of other things are going to fall by the wayside that you're going to learn later in life. So I did not mean to suggest that Caleb Williams is any kind of weak. I just don't think of rookies ever as adults thrown into a piranha pool. I think of rookies as still being kids, even though they're of age to be adults.
He's 22 years old, Dan. So I would say that he's a kid. He's a kid. He's a young adult, okay? And so I agree with you, because when you graduate college, you're 22 years old, you don't have this type of pressure on you. At least not right away. Eventually, you'll have some pressure in life, but you won't have it the second you graduate or the second you leave the university that you decided to attend. The reason he has so much pressure is combination of market. It's a fan base that is starving for a quarterback, and the team is ready now. They were 7-10 a year ago. The defense is good. They have good wide receivers. They picked up Keenan Allen, and their coach has a beard now. I mean, they are built to win now.
Great. You're absolutely right about that. I think you're right, Dan. Like, he's very young, and young people will make mistakes, especially when they have a huge spotlight on them. I just think that a lot of people took that crying thing as something that he was a mistake that he made. That's something like that we should make fun of him for, was like a knock on him. And I think that that's where I was kind of disagreeing, where it's like, I don't see that as like him making a mistake. I see that as like him caring a lot about his football team.
But there's a ton of pressure on a 22-year-old because of that place, that organization, that team, and that fan base. He went to Chicago, and Chicago was built to win. They needed a quarterback. They drafted him to be that quarterback. This isn't going to Carolina, where if you're bad, we'll make fun of you a little bit, and that's about it. You know, you don't have to hear about it every day. This is different. It's Chicago. It's the Bears.
I will say of crying in general, because I know in male worlds that tends to be something that is viewed as weakness. And I will tell you, as someone who has been repressed all his life, that I've done more crying in the last 5 years that has been healing, because I'm not like stuffing it all down. That when I saw Caleb Williams crying on the sidelines, I didn't see it as a weakness. I saw, he cares that much, and caring that much, if you fail with pressure, will ravage your youth. Like, this is going to chew kids up. The way that we're doing it in college football, the way that we're covering high school football, and you have to be really strong to be in the position of Caleb Williams. But when failure arrives is when I worry about just ruining people like that, because they're not given the 3 years Aaron Rodgers was given to sort of figure out how fast all that shit moves out there.
I don't want to be that guy, but $25 million signing bonus, he's fine.
Stugotz, women's 400-meter hurdle today, 15:25.
Wow.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
3:25.
Oh. So meters? 15:25 meters? What is that?
No, that's the time.
Time.
Well, what time is that?
Exactly.
3:25.
What world? I mean,
How many hurdles?
3:25.
Oh, okay.
15. You
In
go to
what
12,
world?
and then you,
Then you had 3.
Sorry.
Put it on the
man.
poll, please, Juju. Does the person who begins a thought with, I don't want to be that guy, immediately become
Well, I don't want to be
that
that guy.
guy.
I'm telling you, I didn't want to be that guy, but at 25, that's a...
You had the choice.
Did you see the reaction to
the
that signing?
choice
Did
to
you
not
see
be that
when he
guy.
announced it? Did you see the reaction that everybody had his teammates to this signing bonus? That's crazy.
You did want to be that guy, because
You
no
did,
one
yeah.
stopped you. No, you could have. No one.
You could have stopped yourself.
No one
Right.
made you be that guy.
I'm journalism.